Okay, so in the last class we did about anticoagulants. Okay, and I've taught you about the. I hope everyone can hear my voice today. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
If my voice is not audible, please let me know in between. Okay. So in the last class, I talked about the introduction about anticoagulants, what is anticoagulant and what is antiplatelet. Okay, anticoagulants, they interfere with the process of blood clotting. Okay, it does not allow the blood to clot. Okay, and antiplatelet, they interfere with the binding of the platelets. Okay, so they do not allow the platelets to be active. They do not allow the action of the platelets to start, and therefore it will start to therefore it will it will not allow the blood to clot. Okay, so there are two types. One is antiplatelet and the other is anticoagulant. So I've also explained about the definition of anticoagulant. Okay, it is an agent that is used to prevent the formation of blood clot. Okay, so we do not want any blood clot to happen after any injury, or we do not want the blood to clot for a long time, so we can give anticoagulant. Okay, then there are 13 factors which are responsible for the formation of blood clot. Okay, then there are 4 classification. One is heparin and low molecular weight heparin. We also call it as injection enoxaparin. Then there is a second category, second classification, that is vitamin K antagonist, that obstructs the action of vitamin K. Then we have another classification, third one, that is direct thrombin inhibitors. And last one is a factor 10A inhibitors. These are the medicines which stops the action of the factor 10A to be active. Okay, so these are the 4 classifications. So in the last class, I have explained in detail about the heparin injection and the lower molecular weight injection. Okay, so regarding the heparin, I've explained about the generic name or the chemical name, the brand name, trade name. It comes in various names. Okay, then what is the available form? What is the dose that is available? Okay, then what are the indications when we should give injection heparin? Then what is the mechanism of action? Okay, what are the indications when we should give injection in heparin? Okay, then what are the side effects of heparin? If we are giving too much of heparin injection, so what will be the complication, or what patient can undergo? Overdose. So patient can, if you're giving too much of heparin, okay, so it will not allow the blood to clot. If there is any specific injury, then it will not allow the blood to clot, and patient can start continuously bleeding. Then what are the nursing responsibilities we have to follow, okay, when we are giving injection heparin? Then the second is this also comes under the first classification along with heparin. We call it as a low molecular weight heparin, injection enoxaparin. So I hope, can you all see the screen on the side? There is an injection, enoxaparin sodium injection. Can you all see this? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this injection enoxaparin, it is pre-filled. Okay, it comes in. It is ready-made. It comes in a packet like this only. Okay, so here the syringe that is being that syringe that is being used here. This is made up of glass. It is a little bit hard, not plastic syringe. And the brand name is Lovenox, or it comes with LMWX. This is the availability, that is the availability of the dose. Then what is the action of enoxaparin? Okay, it is a low molecular weight heparin with anticoagulant properties. That is, it obstructs or it stops the action of the clotting factors to happen. It does not allow the clotting factors to be activated. All the 13 factors, does not this enoxaparin does not allow them to become activated form, and it does not allow the thrombin also to be activated. Okay, and therefore there will be no blood clot. Then the dose, route, and dosage, this also I've already explained. Then what are the indications and what are the contraindications of enoxaparin, and what is the nursing responsibility that we have to follow when we are giving injection enoxaparin. So anybody has any doubts regarding these? किसी को doubt है regarding this topic?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So who can tell me in injection, if you are using injection heparin, okay, when should we give injection heparin? What are the indication? When should we give injection heparin? In what situation? Who can tell me? Because I have already sent this PowerPoint in your group, so you must have seen the PowerPoint, you must have read it. When should we give injection heparin? Who can tell me?
मैम क्लॉट को रिमूव करने के लिए, या फिर ये एक एंटीकोगुलेंट है, तो हमें जब क्लॉट को मतलब वो करना हो, रिमूव करना हो, तो उसके लिए यूज करते हैं.
Yes, so whenever there is a clot, where there are so many veins in our body, and so one specific vein, we call it as a saphenous vein. Okay, so these are present in the lower extremities. Okay, in our lower extremities. So in these saphenous veins, okay, which we call it as a deep vein, so there can be clot. Okay, there can be clot present in the deep veins, in the saphenous veins. So उस condition को बोलते हैं deep vein thrombosis. Okay, so this is a very critical disease condition, because if there is blood clot in the deep veins, in the saphenous veins, then what happens is the blood flow, okay, blood flow will not go to the ankles, it will not go to the to the calf muscles, it will not go down to the toes also. Okay, so the the lower extremities will not get proper blood supply. Okay, so when there is no blood supply, the tissues will not get the proper blood, the tissue perfusion nahi hoga, okay, and there will be no blood supply. So what happens is tissue death ho jate. Okay, so in such patients, okay, when there will be like necrosis, okay, that is death of tissues. Okay, so their toes or their ankle or their pura jo feet area hai, that becomes, it becomes black in color. Okay, because the tissues are dead, there is no blood supply. Okay, so why this is occurring? Because of the clot. Okay, there can be clot in the veins, in the deep veins. So इस condition को बोलते हैं deep vein thrombosis. Okay, then in such condition we have to give injection heparin. Then another is venous thromboembolism. Okay, that is relating with the heart. Okay, so if a patient is in patients where the coronary arteries, coronary arteries, they provide oxygenated blood to the heart. Okay, so in coronary artery, if there is a small blood clot, okay, so if there is a small blood clot, it will not allow, it will obstruct the passage of the oxygenated blood to the heart. Okay, so the proper blood flow nahi hoga into the heart because of this obstruction, because of this blood clot. Okay, so what happened is blood, the oxygenated blood, okay, from the aorta, it will not go that, it will not pass properly to the coronary artery, and it will not go to the into the heart muscles because of this clot. So there is obstruction. So what happened is the heart muscles are not getting oxygenated blood, so they will not be able to perform their action. Okay, so if they're not performing their action, the heart is not able to pump blood. Okay, they're not able to pump the blood because there is no oxygenated, the muscles are not getting the oxygenated blood. Okay, so our heart is not pumping. So what happens is patient can, get heart failure. Okay, so so in this condition we call it as venous thromboembolism. Okay, so this blood clot, not only it stays in one place, it will transfer, it will go here and there. Okay, so this is a very dangerous situation also. So we have to treat the blood clot. We have to break down the blood clot. Okay, so by giving the anticoagulant. Okay, so also we can give in pulmonary embolism, okay, in the lungs. Okay, so for example, in the pulmonary veins or in the pulmonary arteries, okay, there can be blood clot. Okay, so if there is blood clot, then the oxygenated blood from the lungs, they will not go, they will not be able to flow properly into the left aorta. Okay, so because of this blood clot, oxygenated blood from the lungs will not go properly to the into the left aorta. Therefore, the heart will not get the left side of the heart will not get the oxygenated blood properly, and therefore the blood, eventually the body also will not get the oxygenated blood according to its demand. So a patient can undergo cyanosis and so many complications. Okay, so pulmonary embolism also is very important. Okay, so in such condition, we have to give injection heparin. Then if a patient is undergoing open heart surgery, okay, so if patient is having any any disease condition of the heart, it can be infection, or they can be endocarditis, or atherosclerosis or coronary artery disease. Okay, so in such conditions, depending upon the patient's condition, the doctors can they can opt for open heart surgery. So when they do open heart surgery, okay, so there can be chances when we are doing the operation, so there can be chances for any blood clot to occur. Okay, so in such condition, we have to give injection heparin. Okay, so that's why injection heparin is a very important injection. And not only that, if the patient is having central line, okay, central line, we have to keep that central line open. We have to there should be no obstruction, there should be no blood clot in the central line. Okay, so we can flush it with heparin injection. Okay, so there is we call it as heparin log flush. Okay, heparin log flush, we can use this so that the central line will be clear, there will be no obstruction. Okay, then we also use heparin flush when we are doing the procedure of ABG. Okay, who can tell me what is the full form of ABG test?
Arterial blood gas.
Yes, arterial blood gas. So this is a test where we take the blood sample from the radial artery. Okay, so when we do this test, okay, we will be able to diagnose whether the patient is having metabolic acidosis or metabolic alkalosis or respiratory alkalosis or respiratory acidosis. Okay, so ABG test is very is very important for detecting the acidosis and alkalosis. Okay, so if you have to do ABG test, okay, so what do? We take a 1 ml syringe. Okay, we have to flush it with heparin log flush. Okay, with heparin. Okay, there is heparin log flush. We can use that. If it's not there, then we can use heparin injection also. Okay, so we have to flush it. Okay, flush the syringe with heparin log flush. Okay, then after flushing it with a heparin log flush, then we can insert the needle into the radial artery. First, feel the pulse of the radial artery. Okay, feel the pulse, and then wherever you feel the pulse, okay, then you have to insert the needle, 1 ml syringe needle, and then you have to insert it 90 degrees. Okay, right angle, you have to insert it at 90 degrees, and then after that you have to withdraw the blood. Okay, so that is the ABG procedure. So in that procedure also we use heparin log flush. Why? So that there will be no blood clot. Okay, when you are taking the sample, the blood sample, there will be no clotting of the blood. Okay, so, and also you have to remember the units. Okay, the available forms, because this also is very important. Okay, so heparin is available in 1000, 2000, 2500, 5000, 7500, 10,000, 12,500, 20,000, 40,000 units per ml. Okay, so international units per ml. So there you can see this is a picture of injection heparin, 5,000 international units per ml. So this injection heparin we can use subcutaneous or we can give IV. Okay, but heparin should never be given IM. Remember, okay, we never give injection heparin as IM. Okay, so subcutaneous, we give in venous thrombosis, 15,000 international units injection every 12 hours. So that is the duration also. Then if we are giving by IV, then we give in unstable angina, in venous thromboembolism, 5,000 units. Okay, IV loading dose followed by 1,000 to 2,000 units per hour as a continuous infusion. So first of all, we give as a loading dose, starting dose. Okay, that is we give 5,000 units. Then after that, then we continue with the 1,000 to 2,000 units per hour. Okay, that is a continuous. We can give by injection, by using infusion pump also. Then in open heart surgery, 150 to 300 units per kg. Okay, so this is the dose if you're giving, if patient is undergoing any open heart surgery. Okay, so here the mechanism of action. So heparin, okay, remember heparin increases the inhibitory action, means that it tries to stop the action of the clotting factors 12A, 11A, 9A, 10A, and prothrombin. So heparin injection does not allow the clotting factors 9, clotting factor number 10, number 11, number 12, and prothrombin to be active, to be activated. Okay, so it does not allow it to be activated form. Therefore, it stops the conversion of the prothrombin to thrombin, and also it stops the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. Okay, so therefore, there will be no blood clot because this heparin is stopping the action. Okay, it is not allowing thrombin to be formed. It is not allowing fibrin to be formed. So these are very important components for clotting of the blood. Then it also inhibits the platelet function. So heparin also, the third function is that it does not allow the platelets to be active. Okay, whenever there is an injury in the body, okay, it does not allow the platelets to be activated. No, there will be no function of the platelet and there will be no blood clotting. Okay, so indications I've already told you. We give in DVT, deep venous thrombosis, in pulmonary embolism, patients with venous thromboembolism, then patients suffering from with atrial fibrillation with embolization, patients suffering with DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulation. This is a a coagulation disorder. Then prevention of clotting in blood sample, for example, like ABG, test. We can also, during dialysis procedure also, we give injection heparin. Okay, then if patient is undergoing open heart surgeries, in that case also we will give injection heparin. Then patient suffering with acute MI, myocardial infarction, okay, patient suffering with CVA, cerebrovascular accident, okay, when there is a clot, okay, in the, if there is any clot in the brain also, so that can lead to CVA. Then side effects, these are the side effects, okay. It can be, mild, moderate condition, or it can be critical also. Then overdose. So like I said that if you're giving too much of injection heparin, patient can have excessive bleeding, continuously bleed ho sakta hai from the body. So if in case of overdose, then we can treat it with injection protamine sulfate. So coming to the nursing responsibility or nursing implication, okay, so we have to make sure we have to take the health history of the patient, any recent injury, any recent surgery, that has to be asked. Then if patient is having any sensitivity to injection heparin, that also we have to ask from the patient. Okay, any case of hyperlipidemia, or if patient is pregnant, then we have to be very careful. Okay, then we have to perform the test. We can do the liver function test, kidney function test, blood coagulation test, okay, the peripheral perfusion, and the platelet count. So we can do the CBC test. Then adjust the test according to the blood coagulation result. We should not give injection heparin as IM. So it is clearly written here that we should never give it as IM. We can give it in form of IV or subcutaneous. Okay, then you have to check for the signs of bleeding. So after giving injection heparin, we have to check for any signs of bleeding. Okay, and use heparin lock needle to avoid any repeated injections. Okay, so we can use the heparin lock needle also, so that every time we do not have to insert the needle when we are giving injection heparin. Then coming to the next, this also is a very important injection, that is enoxaparin. Okay, lower molecular weight heparin. Okay, it comes in the name of Lovenox. Availability, so it is available in many forms. Okay, in 30 mg, 30 mg per 0.3 ml, 40 mg per 0.4 ml, okay, 60 mg per 0.6 ml, 80 mg per 0.8 ml, 100 mg per 1 ml injection. So it comes in this form, okay, and it is a already packed, pre-filled medication. We do not have to take a syringe. We do not need a syringe. We do not need medication. So it is already pre-filled. It is easily ready. It is ready-made. So the mechanism of action, enoxaparin is a low molecular weight heparin with anticoagulant properties. Then it enhances the inhibition rate. Okay, it tries to increase the stopping action against the clotting factors, that is factor number 10A, including the thrombin. Okay, then the route and dosage. Okay, so when do we give, also with the indication. Okay, so if we are giving in patients suffering from, in order to prevent any venous thromboembolism during any surgical procedure or any surgery, then we have to give the dose accordingly. Low to moderate risk, we have to give 20 mg once daily, with first dose 2 hours post-operatively. Okay, so this is in case of low to moderate risk. Okay, if after surgical procedure, if a patient is at a higher risk, then we have to give 40 mg once daily, with the first dose 12 hours post-operatively. Okay, so first dose we should give 12 hours after the surgery. Then deep vein thrombosis in adults, the dose is 1 mg per kg every 12 hours for 5 days until oral coagulation are established. Then if patient is having unstable angina, then we should give 1 mg per kg every 12 hours for 5 days and until oral coagulation is established. Okay, so this is about the dosage and the route for injection enoxaparin. Then coming to the indication when we should give after any surgery, okay, especially after any after the surgery of the knees or after the hip surgery or abdominal surgery. Then treatment of DVT and pulmonary embolism. Okay, if you have to treat patient is suffering from deep vein thrombosis, then we can give injection enoxaparin also. If patient is suffering from pulmonary embolism, if there is a blood clot in the pulmonary veins or pulmonary arteries, then we have to treat it. We can give injection enoxaparin. And also if patient is suffering from acute coronary syndrome. Okay, if there's any obstruction or blood clot in the coronary arteries, okay, that will obstruct the blood flow, oxygenated blood flow to the heart. So what are the contraindication? Patient can have mild, if patient is having mild bleeding, thrombocytopenia, injection site irritation, hypersensitivity to the injection, if patient is having pain and ecchymosis and erythema, then we should be very careful and we should try not to give injection enoxaparin if patient is having these disease, if patient is having these signs and symptoms. Now coming to the nursing responsibility or nursing consideration, we have to perform the test, that is a coagulation test. Okay, so coagulation test we should perform, okay, PT-INR, APTT test, all these should be performed on the patient. CBC to check how many, to check the platelet count. We can also perform the urine test or stool test. Okay, then monitor the platelet count very closely. So here in enoxaparin, when you're giving injection enoxaparin, we have to observe the platelet counts, okay, very closely. And if platelet count is less than 10 lakh per millimeter per cube, then we have to inform the doctor and try to stop the injection or to give the injection. Then monitor closely to the patient with, if patient is suffering from kidney disease condition. Okay, and if older people or senior citizens are suffering from thrombocytopenia, then report or monitor and report immediately for any sign and symptom for unexplained bleeding. Okay, for unexplained bleeding, hemorrhage. So in case of any bleeding from any parts of the body, it can be bleeding from the ears, bleeding from the nose, bleeding from the vagina, bleeding from if patient is having urine stool, having blood in the urine, patient is having blood in the stool. Okay, so these all should be noted down and informed to the doctor. Okay, so is this clear to everyone regarding the heparin injection and enoxaparin injection?
Yes, ma'am.
So I think I have sent this in the group also. Okay, so I want you all to write in your drug book regarding the injection heparin, injection enoxaparin. Okay, so you have to write these two medicines in the drug book because these medicines are very important. Okay, I hope everyone is reading the drug book. Okay, so when if possible, if you are, if everything is over and if coronavirus is the condition has come down, if you're able to if there's no any notice that you are coming to college, then I would like to see your drug book. Okay, I will your drug book. I will have a check whether you have written the medications that I told you to write in the drug book. Okay, so if it is not completed, please complete it now while you're still at home. Okay, all the drugs that I've explained to you, you have to write in your drug book according to the category wise. Okay, is this clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.